Hey YouTube, today I want to talk to you about fixed living expenses. So, a little story. Back when I was in the Navy, I joined right before New Year's. So I joined December like 17th, 16th, something like that. So 2 weeks after I joined is New Year's. New Year's every year in the military, they give you a cost of living raise. It's basically to match whatever inflation was, but this was during the Bush administration. So we were getting like 6%, I think, that year. So I thought, oh, this is awesome. I just joined the military and I'm already getting a 6% raise. That's so much better than what my last job did, which is pretty much true. I told my dad about it, and my dad offered me the pretty good advice where he said that you're going to find that you make more throughout the years. He's like, but the key is to not let your living expenses grow with it. So I would take that money, and let's say I got a 6% increase. Well, I would always increase my 401k contribution, 1, maybe 2%, because, it was money I didn't really need anyway, because I was already living off of it 2 weeks ago without the raise, so I didn't need it. But it got me a good mentality that, although I kind of paused it for a few years, towards later in my military career, about 3 years before I got out, I went from an E5 to an E6. E6s make pretty good money in the military, but I was very careful to live off of what I made as an E5. So as an E5, I bought a house, and then I pretty much lived off $3,200 a month as an E5, as a single E5, because by this time I've already been divorced. So when I made E6, now suddenly I went from making $3,200 a month to almost $4,200 a month. But I was careful to not let that go to my head. I didn't just go out and splurge on stuff. I didn't go out and buy a new car. I didn't go take lavish vacations. I just saved it. Partially because I kind of had the idea that I'd be getting out of the military soon. And as anybody knows, when you suddenly switch from one career to another, you really have to be careful because you don't know how long you're going to be out of work for. And I had, or at least at the time, I was already dating my now fiance, and we were living together with our son. So I knew I would have expenses coming up, so I saved it. So the point of this video, the thing that I'm trying to talk about, is that I think it's really important that as you succeed more in life, and as you move up the ladders of your job or your investments start coming in, you start making more money, it's important not to let that go to your head and not spend it. So contrary to my story, I have another story about somebody else. So I currently work as a government contractor. I make pretty good money doing this. Well, I already went in the military, but there was another guy who was doing it, he was only in the military for like a year and a half. And for anybody who was in the military before who heard me say that, I don't know why that happened. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but about a year and a half is what he was in. I think it was the Army. He works this job and he makes good. Instead of doing what I do, where I do between 6 and 9 month deployments usually, he'll do a year or a year and a half long deployment. That's him making $14,000 a month for 12 or 14 months. He makes a huge amount of money. So one day we're talking, and I asked him like how long he was doing this deployment. And he said he has to do 8 months to get out of debt. And that seems really weird to me. I thought he was talking about paying off a house, because that's how much money you're talking about when you're talking about that. So I kind of dug a little deeper, and it turns out because he owned a brand new Jaguar and I want to say Ferrari. So he had, I think, like $210,000 in car debt. And again, if anybody's ever watched my videos before, I'm not trying to say you shouldn't buy the cars you want. What I am saying, though, is that in his case, that was, or those cars were, his only assets. So the problem was, or at least the problem in my eyes, is that he would work months and months and months. He had no kids, no wife, like no responsibilities, and he would go back and spend it all on this car or on these cars. And it created a problem where he pretty much had to deploy just to keep his head above water. Now, in this job field, anything could happen to prevent you from deploying. We have pretty rigorous medical standards. So, for example, if your cholesterol is too high, you just don't deploy anymore, or at least not for a while. And there's a lot of people that they take for granted the fact that, oh, there's always going to be another deployment contract for them to take. So what I've learned was try to keep your living expenses under control. That's the easiest way to control the amount of income that you need. So, for example, I told you I was living off of $3,200 a month. Now that's gone up to about $3,500. But that's not that bad because now my fiance moved in. So our living expenses have gone up a little bit. But I'm now splitting it with me and her. So I'm doing so much better financially now that we're a team than I was before. So I would recommend that anybody who's watching this to, when you do your budget and you could develop your plan, your 5-year financial plan. Everybody always talks about their 5-year plan. When you develop your plan and you start thinking about raises, don't necessarily take that money and just blow it on something stupid. Definitely take care of yourself. Use it for something that you want, but just be mindful that it's probably better off for you to take that same amount of money and invest it in something else. Or if you can't do that or don't want to do that, pay off debts. I mean, we all have debts. Even if you're completely debt-free, then I say buy another house, buy a rental property, and that way you can, I mean, you're still in debt, but at least you're making money off it. It's a long-term investment. But most people, I feel like most people that are watching this video at least have mortgage debt. I have mortgage debt. It's very rare that I think people in our current generation don't have it. They either have rent or they have debt from their house. I think very rarely does anybody live in a paid-off house. So just keep that in mind. Try to keep your living expenses under control, and try to keep in mind that when you get that raise or that bonus, and that same day you end up seeing that brand new flashy car that you always wanted. Personally, for me, it's a Jeep. I love Jeeps. So like the Jeep Trailhawk is like sort of my dream car right now. But when you see that guy driving in it with all of the bells and whistles, just keep in mind that you're not competing with anyone else. If life was a game, then keep in mind that other people are playing, but it's not mutually exclusive. They don't need to lose for you to win, and consequently, you're not trying to win better than they are. To me, the end goal of the game is that when you finally decide to stop working, whenever that is, you have enough financial stability to be able to retire and do whatever it is you planned to do. Some people want to get a condo on the beach. Some people want to travel, and some people don't even have a plan. They just want to have enough money to be able to do whatever comes to mind at the time, and that's fine. So in order to accomplish that, you need to make sure you're saving. The best way to make sure you're saving or help yourself save is to just stay whatever your budget is, regardless of all the extra money. And then when you get extra money like a stimulus check, providing that you don't need the stimulus check, when you get stuff like that, when you get tax refunds, stuff like that, it's all for savings and it's all for investing, and you can get ahead that way. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, feel free to share it with your friends or whoever. I really want to make videos to kind of help people along with the journey that I'm trying to do. So share it around, and I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to save.